God, you said in your word, when we pray, that you're going to heal our brother and sister and heal our land, we must honor ourselves. And God, we come with our head bowed down to the mother of us up there as we come. God, you said if you're going to heal our brothers and sisters and heal this world, we got to turn from our wicked ways. God, right now, I ask you to look at each one of our hearts. If anything evil or jealousy or hate or envy around our heart, God, I ask you to move it first to east here from the west and never come up on us again. And God, you said in your word too, if you're going to heal our brothers and sisters, and we want you to heal our brothers and sisters, we got to ask for forgiveness. God, I'm not judging no one, but I started with myself. If I said or did anything not pleasing to you, God, I ask you to forgive me. Or anybody around the table, hear my words, Heavenly Father, they have said anything today that's not pleasing to you, God, we ask you to forgive them right now.
Right now, Jesus.
And God, you said when we pray, just say, Our Father,
Yes.
which art in heaven,
Oh, yes.
hallowed be thy name,
Yes.
thy kingdom come.
Yes, sir.
O Lord, that will be done in earth as it is in heaven.
Yes.
Lord, give us this day,
This
our daily need. And God, you have already did that. Because you woke each one of us up this morning with our health and our strength. And God, I pause and say thank you for that. Because you didn't have to do it. And you did it, God. Now, God, I realized it wasn't that we was been so good. It was your grace and your mercy.
Yes.
And God, I just pause and thank you for your grace and your mercy.
Yes, sir.
Now, God, we got some sickness in our community,
Jesus.
our brothers around the state.
Jesus.
God, we have already prayed that you can heal. God, we ask you to look over Brother Troy White,
Jesus.
Brother Jerry Crane White, and we ask you to look over our own shirt, Heavenly Father. We might not know what they're going through, but you do, God.
Jesus.
And you know how much they can take.
Oh, yes.
If whatever they're going through, God, I ask you to lift them up. Give them strength.
Yes.
And let them bear whatever they're going through.
My God.
Like Paul, Heavenly Father. Paul went to you 3 times and had removed from him. You removed him, but you gave him strength.
My.
You gave him strength to bear.
Lord Jesus.
I'm asking you to give our family that's going through pain, Brother Troy White,
Come on.
Brother Jerry White, that I'm sure.
Yes,
Give
Lord
them the
Jesus.
strength to see him through what
Right
they're
now.
going through.
Right now, Jesus.
Now, God, coming down to this meeting, I ask you to look at each one of our board and do the right thing for the county.
Yes,
Not
Master.
what we want to do, but your will. Your will must be done, God. And
Yes.
God, when we leave this place, I ask your traveling grace.
Yes, sir.
Your traveling grace to get us
Oh,
all
yes.
back home safe the way we left. I ask all this in Jesus Christ.
In Jesus'
Let us all say,
Amen. Praise God.
Thank you, Jesse. Follow me in the pledge.
Praise God. Praise
I
God.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Praise God.
roll call.
Ashley.
Here.
Brown. Clayton.
Here.
Darling.
Here.
Griffin.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Lathrop. LaRue.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Stewart. Here. You have a form.
At this time, we need to approve the minutes from the January 26, 2023 regular meeting.
No correction. Second. Somebody see. No correction. I second this by some other correction.
Ms. Stars,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It passes.
Ordinance 2023-1, an ordinance transferring and appropriating funds within and between various entity budgets for the year 2022. An ordinance to be entitled Transfer and Appropriation Ordinance Number 2023-1, be it enacted by the Quorum Court for the County of Hempstead, State of Arkansas, Section 1, that $4,909.28 shall be transferred from the entity 1,107 Quorum Court from the expenditure code 3100 other miscellaneous to the following: $1 $1,254.53 to fund 3025423 victim witness, expenditure code 2001 general supplies. $523.97 to fund 3026417 public defender, expenditure code 3012 miscellaneous. $3,130.78 to fund 3400-418 county jail, expenditure code 2002 small equipment. That this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and approval, dated this 23rd day of February 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
These ordinances, in our haste to get our budget finished up, we left some, three budgets with some red ink on them. The auditors don't like negative budgets, so we had to transfer some funds that we had in Quorum miscellaneous to cover those, three items we overlooked on the budget.
From last year, yeah.
Roll call.
Ashley,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clayton,
Yes.
Darling,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
LaRue,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, at this time, Steve Harris will come up with EDC and give us a report.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Steve Harris, the President of Hempstead County Economic Development Corporation. And we have three of our board members, Judge Crane, Ed, and Steve Ashley, are on our board. And it's a public-private effort from the city, the county, Hope Water Life, and our private investors, mostly our bigger companies in town. So our board wanted us to get more public this year, so last month made a report to the city council. This month is the Quorum Court, next month's Hope Water and Life. And so this is my basically quarter report to the Quorum Court. So what we do in the Economic Development Corporation is most people think of recruiting new businesses, and we do that. We submitted 14 proposals through the State Economic Development Commission last year. We submitted 3 this year, and it takes quite a bit of effort to get all the information together to submit all those. We got real close. We didn't quite land any new industries last year, but the bulk of Hope and Hempstead County is our existing industry. We have approximately 24% of our labor force is in manufacturing, so we put a big emphasis on working with our existing companies, and we've got a committee, active committee that visits each of the industries, and tonight I'm proud to report that most of our industries are doing well. We've got several that are expanding. We work with them. Last night at City Council, the City Council approved payment in lieu of tax proposal for the new Tyson hatchery. Last year, the year before, the county approved one for the feed mill. So they continued their upward surge, and they're going to build more chicken houses, more production, both in the Hope and the Nashville plant. So certainly Tyson's is doing well and doing a lot of employment in our county. And New Millennium's doing well. They expanded last year. Redwood is on expansion mode. They bought an additional building, warehouse space for their warehouse, and so they've been expanding. And our latest project we've been working with is the bakery. It's got new owners, and they're trying to inject some new capital, which is needed for upgrading the machinery. The bakery's been up and down through the years, and it's been down the last couple of years, and so now they're trying to rejuvenate it, and got some big plans in terms of employment, automation, and freezer warehouse space. So that's all positive, but it takes quite a bit of effort, from our office to keep up with. We try to get the community involved through our board, and making visitations to our existing industry. The other side of economic development is, and obviously most people have figured it out by now, is the employment side. Everybody's short of workers, getting new people workforce is the big issue in economic development. So we have tried through some of our regional partners with the Southwest Development Alliance, 8-county area, working with our high schools and educational co-op and trying to get the kids here in our area interested in staying here, and because there is employment opportunities. And so the last several years, we've had an 8th grade seminar, brought in speakers, try to get them on the career track where they could be ready to go to work. And I think, Hope High School is trying to do a big effort this year in conjunction with that. And Bobcat Works has 34 high school students this year that's in the internship program. So all those kind of help us work on keeping our kids here, keeping on the workforce. We're going to have, we've had the job seminars in the past for 11th and 12th graders, and COVID kind of took away for a couple of years on that. But we're going to try a little different track this year, and I think April 26th is the day that Hempstead Hall, or we're going to call it draft day. And so we're going to try to prepare the 12th grade students to have, a pretty good resume, and the existing businesses will be kind of like a job fair where they'll be there, but they'll have a lot of information beforehand. So it's not just kids going from one booth to the next. It'll be, if a kid thinks they want to be a welder and want to work for New Millennium, they'll be already matched up, and New Millennium can draft them into employment. It's kind of the concept on calling it draft day. So we've tried to work a lot on the workforce side and the education side, and everybody's kind of on the same boat. We need to do more in that, include the new governor and things like that. So that's kind of what we do on a regular basis. And of course, we submit proposals, and of course, the latest one is it's a little different. It's the prison proposal, and the Department of Corrections sent out, and they're calling it something a little different. It's a little different process, the expression of interest for the communities to donate land for a new prison. And they've got 2 different sites, 2 different proposals right now. One of them is for a 1,000-bed maximum security prison that will employ 370 people. And we submitted a proposal on, that was due on February 9th, and we were the only ones in the states that submitted. So, so we visited. Danny Watson's been big in this and brought us attention to this. And we visited with the Chief of Staff of the Department of Corrections this afternoon and submitted the other proposal, which is a, I forget what they call it exactly. It's for a community corrections center. It will be for 200 to 300 offenders, and it will employ about 97 people. And their request was a smaller tract of land, between 5 and 40 acres. The other one, the maximum security, they wanted 400 acres. So we submitted 2 sites for the large one. We submitted also, we could co-locate both of them if they wanted to fund both of them here. And we submitted 2 more smaller sites for the smaller facility. And so, we were in a rush to get it all in. Obviously, the public, through, we're going to, they wanted us, the local community to donate money. So obviously, the local governments and local entities have to be involved in that. So we'll probably have some public hearings in connection with that, to bring everybody up to speed. So we'll be, willing to do that. I haven't talked to my board yet, but that's probably what we'll want to do that, to get the information out there. But we submitted the 2. This said we're interested. Today at 2 o'clock, 2:30 was there. We were one of 2 communities that submitted for the smaller prisons. So, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? 300, 370, another 100, that would immediately be our second largest employer in Hempstead County. So, it's a huge impact on, an economic impact. So, the other, Okay.
Go ahead, you go ahead first.
Yeah, well, one other thing about the interesting part of it is we're partnering with Prescott and Nevada County on one of our sites, because it's in the north part of the county, it's actually closer to Prescott than it is Hope, and they have verbally agreed to, help fund it 25% of the land, so, it's all kind of a fluid, fast deal which we're working under, but, we're in really good shape right now, so, Danny, do you want to say anything else, or?
Steve and I were talking, you know, we're excited that no more has put in for it, but then again, we're not kids. We're not kids to get the cart before the horse. I mean, that's a big deal. Lindsay Wallace, Chief of Staff for Department of Corrections, before we walked out of the prison building today, she made a comment, both of us know how slow the government works, and they work slow. But in the same breath, she said, time is of essence. Remember that. In other words, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 years at least to get one built. So it's going to take a while. I hope the economy, I hope no more diseases come about again to slow things down again. Because we're still not over what's been going on, as y'all know, as far as supply chain goes. Everybody knows that. So, you know, with all that being said, I've had conversations with some more. The only thing the media has released, the only thing the governor has released that I remember is for the 1,000-bed facility and a Department of Community Corrections, like Steve mentioned, a 250-bed. But the constitutional officers privately admitted to me several times that he said, listen, we need at least 2 or 3 more 1,000 beds. Everybody in here knows that when that 1,000 bed gets built, it's going to be swallowed up like that. And about 8 or 9, probably another 1,000 left over at the end that needs somewhere to go because of the prison backlogs in all 75 counties. So with that being said, it's kind of like that song, one day at a time is one step at a time, because we're talking about a whole lot of money. We're talking about a whole lot of money. All I got to say is I wish we didn't even have to have this discussion right now. I wish we did not have to have this discussion on a correctional facility. But I do know, anybody's been in law enforcement, been in law, prosecutor back there knows this, we gotta have a deterrent. And mental health services and all that stuff will come along too. That is equally as important. Mental health and trying to break the addictions. Because so many get caught up in a vicious cycle. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I gotta say this. Caught up in the vicious cycle, we're trying to figure out how to break it. So, some people, as y'all know, we're just not gonna be able to help. They may not want help. And I see the prosecutor back there's kind of a little bit nodding his head that he knows exactly what I'm talking about. That's a shame, that's a shame. And this is not just David Watson's thoughts. This is from all over the state. Man, I inquire all the time from all 75 counties, all my different colleagues on both sides of the aisle, Senate side and House side, and they're going through the same thing. One thing that's helping us, and then I will sit down, one thing that does help us so far, there's a kind of like a checklist the Department of Corrections is giving us to follow by. Of course, Steve mentioned several times about an employable workforce. That's critical. Hopefully we'll draw from northern Louisiana, Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas all we can. But another thing is, they cannot be located on the what I call the big boy prison, the 1,000-bed facility. They cannot be within 65 miles of another Department of Corrections facility because they don't want to saturate certain parts of the state. I was with a bunch of realtors last night, just teasing them. Northwest Arkansas, Rogers, Bentonville, all of that area. Man, they'll look at you. We don't want to build a prison around here. Of course, they're you know, the land's so valuable. And I know exactly what they meant. And I said, well, good. We'll see if we can get something down our way, out somewhere desolate that people accept. But anyway, not all parts of the state wants it. Southeast parts of the state has some problem with floodplains. And I hope we don't get knocked out with floodplains. I hope we have somebody that's really unbiased when they come from the state to look. I mean, we got a lot of things to go over, and we got a humongous checklist that's got to be done. So if it's in good Lord's hands to happen here, it will. If it's not, it's going to happen somewhere else in the state. But I'd sure like for us to go forward on there to try to get a bite of that, maybe kind of help things out. So anyway.
Okay, what are they getting further? They've been in mental health trying to cut it off, some of these going where we build a big one, what people's in, we gonna build a mental health to try to help them, we building a prison for, what we go.
Jesse, if I said anything, it'd be a guess. That'd be a guess.
But I suggest that we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
build a mental health.
And I will keep that in my mind, I will keep that in my mind, because I'll be having some more conversations in the next 2 weeks, I promise you. But,
This is my understanding was that 90 to 100 beds of that would be
Mental health.
but all I gotta say is, what I am hearing though is gonna be expanded, because it has to be expanded. Because as y'all know, there's a new derivative of fentanyl coming out in the last week. It's unlike anything else, another new one. So we've got all these addictions that's got to,
I think building more prisons not solving out the problem.
what's that?
Building more prisons not solving out the problem.
It's not gonna solve, but we sure gotta have a deterrent though.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
yeah, we need to try to help.
Oh, I agree. Great.
Mental health.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I think there was, at this point, the Attorney General said we need 5,000 bed maximum security right now. But he also said, that we need all the other programs, the mental health, the job training, we need it all, to attack the problems.
Well, I believe the governor passed a new law where she's asked for more work with the mental part of it, the drug part of it. And that's gonna help.
Yeah, because if don't do that, you're gonna end up getting more and more prisons. It's shocking the floodgates. Huh?
Steve, we talked about expansion here,
Right.
expansion there, more employees, but those people's gotta live somewhere. Are we trying to address that issue?
Yeah, to the housing issue. And-
Yes.
Yeah, it's we're trying to, it's kind of it's a complicated, bigger picture issue. It used to be, it said housing follows jobs and sewer lines, and it just comes, but it's not that way anymore. So, there are, we, have our group, we visited a couple of other communities, seeing what they're doing and trying to get some ideas and stuff. Yeah, it's, we want to grow, we gotta have the housing too, so.
Steve,
And get the full benefit of the jobs.
Steve, I might mention to you, talking about housing, we went to another area, another community outside the state, and visited with them on housing and everything. But what you gotta have is, they were very fortunate to get a very strong investor that came in and invested in one project was 72 houses, and the other was 76 houses. And you've gotta have somebody that's willing to come in and buy the property and invest the property, invest. And then later, he's gonna sell these and manage it. So, that we've dealt with, and we've reached out to them for their ideas, and, we know there's a great need for them in this area.
Until some things are addressed in this county to make people want to live here, other than just a job, some other things need to be definitely addressed. It's gonna be a hard fought battle to tell somebody that lives in Texarkana, they can drive from Fulton in 40 minutes and be at work to move to Hope. When those things are addressed, you might attract more people to live here. Until that happens, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you took part of my speech in there. Quality of life, quality of place issues are they're definitely important. Particularly, what the younger people want, it's a little different than what I want, per se,
It's, I mean,
Outdoor recreation's used, we got some potential to do some things there.
travel for work and entertainment is nothing anymore. I mean,
Right.
people nowadays have no problem getting their car going to Little Rock.
Right.
So, 50s, 60s, 70s, people want to live close to work, but like I say, you're not gonna attract a person that lives in North Louisiana or Shreveport. If they drive 40 minutes to work, they'll drive to work and they'll stay where they're at, where they can get the goods and services they want in their community. And until we address that, the population is not gonna grow here. People may come here and spend money because we have places to work, but you're not gonna get the property tax and all that from people moving here. It's just not gonna happen. I hate to be negative, Nancy, but this county has shot itself in the foot so much over stuff like that over the course of time. Until it's addressed, nothing's gonna change. I'm gonna get off the soapbox now.
I want to ask the prosecutor, it was mentioned earlier that we build something like this here, it's going to be
sentenced to prison, they appeal, of course, their sentence typically. Once that appeal runs out of time, then they start filing their civil lawsuits, and they file those where they're located physically. So that's called like a petition or writ or habeas corpus. Anyway, the state has to defend those, which would fall to our office. So it require more work on our part. I think I mentioned that to Danny or Steve, or maybe both of them, and if I haven't, I intended to. But Steve, he really persuaded me on the economic benefit of it. So I just hope that, if something like this does happen, hopefully our office will be looked at and they'll understand that we can't keep doing what we're doing and then have to deal with that too, if that makes sense.
We'll work on legislation, get compensated.
So we'll need more people, basically.
More job.
More jobs.
Is there any more?
More people, more people.
One thing I'm concerned about is the starting salary, the salary of the correction officers versus, the sheriff's offices here in, Hempstead County, Lafayette County, and, Nevada County. They start, and have much more, what I'm trying to say, we won't have to up the salaries of our people to keep them, because they're gonna be wanting to go to work for them and make more money.
It's a very valid point, Sheriff.
You're right.
I can't get anybody now that wants to work, so. That was one of my concerns, and one of the concerns is, I worked, for the Department of Corrections back in the 70s, and, at Cummins, and I saw how many crimes and everything were committed in that facility, inmate on inmate. Well, that has to go to the prosecuting attorney. That's gonna create more work on him, along with the lawsuits and things, but, that's my only concern,
So we just got.
is not being able to keep people.
Well, you get back to the old, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You wanna sit here and do nothing? You wanna get out there and try to, give people a reason, a job is a reason to live here, whether they live here or not. But a job,
And like I said, jobs here,
well,
I mean, income here, because people are gonna spend their money close where they work. I mean, that's just fact of life. My other point was probably irrelevant to what we're talking to, but the traffic is gonna change. But yes, people working here.
Nobody, I'm not arguing, you're absolutely on track. But again, I guess my point is, if we sit on a bus and do nothing happens. Don't do anything, nothing happens, and we go from a population of 10,000, in the next 10 years, we'll be at 5,000.
I will say one other thing, to support the prison itself. From a prosecution standpoint, I've looked at the numbers on a state level, and they, like Steve hit on it, 5,000, like this 1,000 prison. The numbers are so bad on a state level, and then even on the mental health side that Jesse talked about too. The state has respectfully, and no disrespect to our legislature, it has not addressed the need. So I think that is coming, and so I just want to be, if it's not us, it's going to be somewhere else, is what I'm trying to say. I truly believe that.
I think we got like 2,200, 2,300 back there in county jail.
1,600 right now, well, I've been told, 1,600 backlog in county jail right now.
Again, y'all mentioned the mental health issue and not picking on the legislature, but over the last 8 years, there's been a steady decrease in the funds that have been allocated to community mental health centers and the community health center programs all across the state, and that's got to change. I mean, it's been a downhill spiral for the last 8 years.
Mental health and juvenile.
True.
So we got a lot to work through.
Basically,
More detail, let's go. Working.
Any other discussion?
Thank you. Oh, I did nothing with it.
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Got a couple of items, next month's meeting falls in the middle of spring break for the school districts, and I would propose that we change next month's meeting to March 30th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
One other quick item, we'll meet with Reverend Watson after we get through here. Yesterday, the Senate passed Senate Bill 81, which removed the immunity from the librarians, and depending on who you talk to, those boards of directors who've been currently protected under state exemption, and it did set some standards, some community standards which have been missing for the, to define obscene literature or books that should not be in the library. The current state of this bill as it's written is, to me, is not acceptable. When we start removing the immunity of our librarians, all of a sudden, regardless of what the proponents say, if I'm a librarian and I say, and I get a complaint that says this book is not acceptable, and I give it to my board, and they come back and they say, this book is not acceptable as well, and the person that brought the complaint wants to sue somebody, then they sue that board and the librarian as well. The board will not enjoy that immunity just because I assure you there's an activist judge somewhere that will make that an all-inclusive thing. But Senate Bill 81, as referred to the House Judiciary Committee, needs a lot of work. And to me, it was one of those things that came out of committee in the morning and went to the Senate in the afternoon for a vote. And that's the other thing that kind of has galled me over the current role of the House and Senate is them wanting to pass bills so simple. My opinion is if a bill comes out of committee, it ought to wait for at least 72 hours before a vote, at least so the constituents have a chance to read any amendments or comment on it. Unless you were sitting there looking Johnny on the spot at the records as they were posed or sitting in Little Rock, you wouldn't have known any of this happened. But I think this potentially, the bills that's currently written and passed out of the Senate, is a great detriment to the to our local library boards and local libraries. And if you would, please try to read the bill. It's been amended in such a mess. I'm not sure anybody understands what it says. But it needs cleaning up. Representative Watson, and your own House Judiciary Committee, where it goes.
Are you through?
Okay. I'm concerned about, like he said, the litigation against the court and the librarian. But the penalties that I saw is so severe that, I thought it was a little out of character to charge a person with felony for not doing this. And I think it goes beyond the limits. And I think we need to look at that a little closer than what we did.
My turn?
Your turn.
Okay. I knew nothing about it other than hearing Senator Dan Sullivan from Jonesboro. He got in a fiasco with the library, I guess it's a school library, I'm not sure, or the county library up in Jonesboro. I have not had a chance to focus on that. We've been dealing with solar and education and some more things. I will look at it tomorrow. I called Steve Kroll on my drive in. I said, give me the quick synopsis, because I think I'm going to go to the Quorum Court meeting tonight. And he mentioned everything you mentioned, but he did not mention anything about the penalties and the on that, so I'm going to read that. Keep in mind, the Senate has 35. We have 100. And I promise there's a whole lot, it's scrutinized a whole lot more with us than it is on the Senate side. I will say this as far as obscenity go, and I have not heard anybody objecting to that. The obscenity part's going to stop. I do know this with this administration. If, I have a third grader, and I do not want Jet to be seeing this type of stuff that supposedly has been alleged by this particular senator. But with that being said, I'm gonna check into, to see about the, immunity part and about the penalties, because I know nothing about it, I have not even seen the bill yet. I called Courtney on my way down about Benton, and I visited with her, and I reassured her, that I'd be looking at it too. There's no way would I do anything to hurt our local, beautiful, Hempstead County libraries. I wonder if we have as nice libraries as we do for a small town. I hope I promise you, because there's some bigger cities don't have anything like what we have, or any of the workers. And, anyway, she said, I'm good. She said, thanks for calling. So anyway, this is one more I'll be adding to the list, but that hadn't even been our baby yet. I'm kind of surprised with, being excessive the way y'all say it, and I'm not saying it's not. I'm really kind of surprised it passed the Senate, if it was excessive, but anyway, regardless, I'll be looking at it. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Just real quick before you guys take off, you do have a copy of Kim's demonstration book, which was compiled from information from last year from our county extension agent. It is a new thing that we're doing here in the county to try to provide you with some information and education as far as what we have been doing at the extension office. Also, if any of you are available on March the 14th, I'm looking for some volunteers to help me at the Hope Public School. We're doing the Get Real activity, which is a financial management workshop. Steve Harris has participated in this in the past. We've had other community volunteers that have come in. We've got 2 sessions in the morning and 3 sessions in the afternoon. We have a total of 130 some odd kids that are participating in Hope. We will be doing an additional class at Spring Hill. We will also have an additional class out at Garrett. So if you can't make March 14th, we have other dates for doing this activity. We also have Master Gardeners are having their spring seminar, and we are bringing Janet Carson. For those that are not familiar, she's our state horticultural former specialist that's now retired. She's going to be our speaker that night. It will be at Hempstead Hall. $20 for a cost to hear her speak on different types of gardens, and especially some other rural gardens that she's been able to see. So those are some of the things that we have, and we are still at the old courthouse, guys. We're not complaining because it's all being taken care of. James is working to get things done for us so that when we do move in, we won't need anything to be done. So we are thrilled that plans are in place, that we're getting LEDs and we're getting some additional upgrades and all. We're excited about that. So we're still fine, we're okay, and we'll keep you guys posted when we do that official move, because we'll call you all up and have you help us move in. So, thank you.
That was James Hollis, by the way.
Hope, Garrett, Spring Hill have not hit Flevens yet. Okay? This is targeted towards high school students. Okay? Thank you.